get big. Got cut off for a moment there. So, that should be good. How is everyone doing? Let me see who's all here. Who's all here? A little bit. You know, I had a little growth spurt. Girls do that sometimes. But yeah, let me see who's all here. Hello, Cosmic. Hello, Alucard. Hello, Ready Go. Congrats, Cosmic, for becoming a lead mechanic. Woo! Good job. You know, earlier today before the stream, I was browsing some YouTube. I do that oftentimes. I especially love watching animatics, and there's a channel that I found the other day which basically shows animatics that are motivational. And the animatic that I saw today was a little bit different. It didn't talk about motivation. It talked about productivity and the trap that lies within. When everything you do is falling under the check, is this productive? Is this not productive? Is this worth doing? Or is this a waste of time? Then you easily forget to have hobbies, to live a life, because you always need to progress. Now, I do think productivity is extremely important, especially for me. The amount of things I do in a day to make content for you guys all the better is actually kind of insane. I do physical workout, I do vocal workouts, I do memory training, I do hearing training to hear notes better, all the way that I can sing better. But then I also brainstorm ideas for new streams and practice getting better at that too. Then I read up on theory so I can produce better content. And before I know it, the day's done. And I am about to stream. Now, I love doing that. Don't get me wrong. I would not want to change that for the world. In fact, I want to go much higher. But thinking about it, I think I should add a little other thing to my schedule. And that is an hour of fun. Just a hobby, something to be passionate about. I think that is just as important as being productive. To have something you do, something to reward yourself with for doing a job well done. Aww, thank you, Cosmic. You're so sweet. I love all of you too. But yeah, thinking about it, I went like, what did I do in the past? What kind of hobbies did I have growing up? And the oldest thing I can remember, the first thing that I would consider a hobby, was playing with magnets. Back then, I would build entire worlds made of magnets. I would build stories, explore them, build entire schools. Oh, you're so sweet. But yeah, I would build schools, I built islands, I explore stories of grand scale. And thinking about it, I think that's how I became a game designer. All the way back then, I loved to create, to explore, to have fun, to make stories. That was something, even back then, I cared about so much. But as I grew older, I learned other hobbies as well. For example, I would start riding at a horse stable. Well, it was mainly my mom and my sister who did riding lessons there, but at the end of each of their riding lessons, I would get a small lesson as well. The horse I was riding was a former jumping horse, and the stable had a location that was maybe not the best. You see, this stable was built next to a gravel mine, and they would still do mining there with explosions. Now, one time, I was just doing my lesson that I always do when my teacher decided, okay, you can do some free riding now. I was excited. Yes! Free riding. Carefully, I rode the horse through the halls, when suddenly, boom! A loud explosion comes from outside. The horse did not like that. It did not like that at all. Panicking, it runs towards a jump. And my teacher and my mom both were panicking, screaming, "Hold tight! Hold tight!" I was riding, and I was like a gummy ball. Boing, 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 bouncing on that horse. But somehow, I was holding on. And then, right before the jump, the horse stopped and lowered his head. But me? I went forward and back again, like a gummy ball, and stayed on the horse, like a miracle. A few weeks later, I had another riding lesson. This time, it wasn't free riding, it was just riding in a circle. And my teacher decided, okay, this is enough for the day, and I had to get off the horse. Thank you for the hat pat. Right when I was getting off that horse, it suddenly happened again. An explosion. Me, not being right-seated because I was just getting off, got launched through the air. Lucky for me, however, my teacher caught me in a Princess Carrie position. There I was, being seated rightly in his hand, looking very confused as for what just happened. My mom saw it, and for months, she would make so much fun of me for that happenstance. It was so silly. Now, this was one of the few last memories I had of that stable. We got a horse from there too, but I don't think we went back after a while. I don't exactly know why, but I just think my family lost interest in that stable specifically. But to be honest, if I were to take any lesson out of that stable, don't build a stable next to mine, please. Do not do that. No, 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 no. This is a very, very, very bad idea. Now, my adventure with horses didn't end there, because after all the riding lessons, I decided to do vaulting instead. Vaulting is a very special hobby, because what you do in vaulting is you do acrobatics on a horseback. And I was actually pretty good at it too. I was able to do a 360 turn on a horseback. I was able to stand on a horseback. And I remember kneeling on a horseback with only one leg and one arm. Like, As a matter of fact, I was so good at it that me and two others decided we would go to a tournament. That tournament was half a day drive away. So we would basically spend almost an entire day, or not an entire day, but it was like a 6-hour drive there and a 6-hour drive back. So we would spend the entire day out of home. Now, for these tournaments, they were actually rated by participant per team. Hi, Yumina! Hi! Now, we were only 3 people. Other teams had 8 people. So, from the get-go, we had an extreme handicap. Really, there's nothing we could have done. Winning was almost out of the question. Hi, Sebastian! Hi! However, we worked together, and each of us 3 did extremely well. So well, in fact, that our team ended up third place out of 8. When we were really not in the best chances. So we felt proud. Now, I only did this for a few years, and I didn't always get along with the other team members. I remember one German girl who did not like me at all for some reason. And she was German. She was German. And here's a little fun fact about Germans. The grades from Swiss German and Germans is swapped. For a German kid, a 6 is incredibly bad. If you get a 6 on a test, that is extremely bad for a German kid. Now, for a Swiss German kid, a 6 is the best grade, and a 1 is the worst. So, every German who's bad at school, come to Switzerland. Your grades are great. It's all about the bait and switch for real. Now, that girl did not like me, and at some point we had a fight, and she looked straight into my eyes and said, "I curse you that you will have only 6s in school." Me looks at her, thinks about how here in Switzerland 6s are the best grade, and just say, "Why, thank you." That was the best curse she could have ever given me. She really did, yeah. And I remember another girl from there as well, and I actually was really, really good friends with her. And at some point, she told me her full name. Now, I don't remember her name anymore. What I do remember is that that girl had 6 names. 6 first names. Yep, that girl had 6 first names. Your grandpa had 4? That's quite a lot as well. Growing up, I had 2 first names. Completing documents must be a pain. For real. Imagine someone comes to her and is like, "Young lady, would you please introduce yourself with your full name?" And she's like, "Okay." And by the time she's done, yeah, it's 6 hours later. Anyone who asks her to introduce herself with the full name is gonna get an absolute punishment. And I remember seeing years later, one of the people I did do vaulting with, I actually met her again. And I think she was, a hairstylist. Yeah, I saw her working as a hairstylist. I don't think she recognized me. She certainly didn't react to me, and I didn't approach her about it. I just made my appointment. But I was like, "I know you. You are Jennifer." Let's call her Jennifer. Not her real name, but let's call her Jennifer. Now, Jennifer and I actually were 2 of the people who did go to the vaulting tournament together. So, that was cool. But I don't think she remembered. But yeah. After that, there was another thing I was super interested in. And that happened to be soccer. Now, these days, I don't care for soccer at all. But as a kid, I loved soccer. You broke your mouse? What did you do? Oh no. I'm so sorry to hear it. What did he do? Nothing. It happens. And yeah, a lot of FPS would do it. Now, personally, I don't play that much FPS. I did play an FPS yesterday. I actually played Overwatch for the first time yesterday, which was super fun. It really was. But would I play Overwatch alone? No. I would not care for Overwatch to play alone. Not at all. Now, when I played Overwatch yesterday, I played Diva. Boom, boom, rocket, boom. You're a Kiriko? I do think I met a bunch of Kirikos yesterday. I also smashed one of the enemy Genshis with my robot. He was just doing his ult when suddenly I summoned my mech, because I was out of my mech at the time, and I summoned him, the mech, right on his head before he could finish his ult. Yeah, I think I heard a few "Let the Kitsune guide you" yesterday. I really did. I really did. But yeah, at the time, Eddies. Okay. Let's all drink a little bit of water and do a little stretchies. And let's wait for the ads to be done. What hobbies am I talking about? I'm basically talking about all the hobbies I had growing up, which so far we have talked about horse riding, and I was just about to talk about soccer as well, which used to be a hobby of mine, but I don't care for soccer much these days. But I actually had a big variety of hobbies growing up. Now, do you have any hobbies? Yeah, let's wait for everyone to get out of the ads. Oh, you're a streamer as well? Let's see. Let me give you a follow. What do you usually play? Welcome back! Welcome back from ad jail! Welcome back! No, there is no basement. There is just a hangar. Dynasty Warriors? Dynasty Warriors is super cool, though. I actually quite a lot enjoyed Hyrule Warriors back as a kid. Hyrule Warriors and Pirate Warriors as well. So, generally, I quite like Warriors games, though I didn't play Dynasty Warriors specifically. Don't worry, Yumina. No basement for you. No, Cosmic. Don't send her into the basement. Don't send her into the basement. Send her into the lounge with a cup of cocoa. Hyrule Warriors is good. I definitely should play that on stream sometime. But yeah. As a kid, I was very much into the Wild Soccer Bunch, which is a film and book series. I don't know how many people know it, but even to this day, I have a Wild Soccer Bunch wallet, a Wild Soccer Bunch pillow, and a Wild Soccer Bunch fleece blanket, which I have since I've been a kid. Which is actually kind of insane. And it wasn't just me who was a big fan of it. It was my sister too. Together, we would absolutely fangirl about it. Thank you for that, man. We would absolutely fangirl. And we would play through the movies, organize soccer games with our friends, where I invited my friends, she invited her friends, and we would play together, even though we were 2.5 years apart in age. And I had some of the books, and she had other books of the Wild Soccer Bunch. And so we would trade them with each other. Though she never wanted to give them to me, so I just took them. We even had a game. I don't know what the name of the game was, but we had a game from the Wild Soccer Bunch as well. Unfortunately, as the series went on, especially the movie series, the Wild Soccer Bunch did get worse. Because what they essentially did, they went more into the supernatural and less about soccer. Like, the 5th movie had pretty much nothing to do with soccer anymore. Well, the first movie was all about a bunch of kids playing soccer against some bullies. The 5th movie was, it was vampires. I don't know, but somebody in production watched a little bit too much Twilight there. Yep, a soccer movie with almost no soccer. Now, objectively, the 5th movie isn't terrible, but as a part of a soccer movie series, where there's like 20 minutes of soccer? Now, there's actually a few interesting things about the Wild Soccer Bunch. One thing is that the director of the movie was also the author of the books. And he also was the dad of two of the kids who actually happened to be members of the real Wild Soccer Bunch, which, yes, they were actually a thing. They were a group of kids that played soccer together. And even funnier, his kids actually played in the movie, but they did not play themselves. Yeah! They were in the movie, they were actors, but they didn't play themselves. Which is kind of insane. Nope. I'm not joking. Now, the main characters, which were the sons, or were the role of the sons, were instead casted by much more popular child actors. Yeah, kinda. Now, here's the funny thing. The book series actually only goes up to the third movie. The book series ends with the third movie. Yes, I'm familiar with Vocaloids. I'm especially a fan of Rin Kagamin. But I also like Biku. That reminds me. As a kid, I actually watched an entire series on Vocaloids where someone made an entire high school story with the Vocaloids, which I remember the story actually getting pretty dark. But then, at some point, the story just ended and I was actually kind of sad. Like, it didn't end, it just stopped. They just stopped uploading episodes. Yes, I know Kingdom of Evil. It's a series of songs. There is there's Daughter of Evil. Then there is the Lament song. Then there's the song from Len's perspective. As in, those three are the main three songs, right? Daughter of Evil, Len's perspective, and the Lament. There's a whole mythos behind it? That's fascinating. I never knew. What the heck? Okay, I'm definitely Googling that after the stream. There's one for each deadly sin? Wait, really? I didn't know that. I thought there were only 3 songs. But yeah, back to my story. In school too, we would play soccer all the time. And actually, every year, the school had a tournament where the entire school will play soccer with each other. And honestly, that tournament was every time so chaotic. I had a friend with the worst luck imaginable. Like, he had a water in his hand and was sitting where all the other waters sat, but then suddenly a ball came and BAM! His water got knocked out of his hand. Well, sucks. He goes get another water. Sits down again somewhere else. Once again, a stray ball hits his cup of water a second time. Those shots were not targeted. Okay, have a good lurk. Have a good dinner. Those shots were not targeted. But once again, he goes away, grabs another cup of water, sits in yet another place, and almost immediately gets hit by a third stray ball in a row. At that point, he was left like, you know what? Yeah, it's hot. But you know what? I don't need water. I'm apparently not allowed to have water. God just said no. God just said, no, you're not gonna get any water. Deal with it, boy. Yeah, so then there was the incident where the teachers will play together against each other, and one of the ball flies towards the referee, and the referee kicks the ball, and the ball flies into the goal, and the referee was like, yeah, you know what? I'm counting that goal. That's a goal. Even though he was the one who was shooting the goal. Which is so silly. But I still remember laughing about it back then. But yeah, as I said, today, I'm not much into soccer. I think I collected soccer stickers for a while for like World Championship and European Championship. In like back 2004 and 2008. But that was forever ago. That was... Hey, I feel old. was 20 years ago. Shortly during the soccer time as well, I was a lot into country hockey. Now, for those who don't know what country hockey is, you basically have a ball, a small ball, and you have a hockey. And you play it either on foot or with roller skates. And I was actually going to do this in a team. And I went to a training too. However, in this case, the choice was not with me. Because to join, your parents would need to agree for driving duty, and my parents did not want to do that. So, there was that. I would only play country hockey at school and would always play in defense because I was actually pretty fast. Though, usually the other players would complain about how aggressive I was, as I would go in very, very hard and just try to take them away the ball and smack. But so, because I could not do country hockey, I had to do another sport during my high school. And so, I went into karate. And I did karate for 2 whole years, in fact. However, because my parents did not want to pay money, I never got a karate suit or a belt. However, the karate teacher was nice enough to say, okay, as long as you don't buy a belt and a suit, you will not be allowed to take trials to get a better belt, but you are allowed to train with us. And so I did. Now, I was not in best form, so I was usually very slow and out of breath very easily. However, when it comes to self-defense techniques, well, I know a thing or two. As a matter of fact, I know pretty much all the stuff up to a green belt. Now, obviously, over the years, I've forgotten a few of the techniques, but those that I remember, I actually practice to this day. Because, it's always good to know how to defend yourself. In case you get robbed or attacked. Knowing how to block a hit and, well, hurt your opponent a little bit. Good stuff to know. Now, I actually had contact with the karate teacher even 2 years after I left the karate club, because they would always train in the school's gym, and the gym would also host the Christmas theater. Now, our school actually didn't host a normal Christmas theater at all. No, it was one written by our director. And in both theaters that I was part of, I would actually play quite major roles. Actually, both times, I was the villain. During my first time, I was a mage. And I had this necklace that would grant any wish you want. Or, obviously, no bad outcomes. I mean, who would do that? Who would laugh as the person who took the necklace and used it disappears? Not me, obviously. Just kidding. I laughed with an evil laugh. And yeah, that was the end of the first theater where I was actually winning because in that story, the villain won. Now, in the other story, I was an old man. And I would go from house to house, but all the people would reject me. No one would give me a home. And so I decided to curse the village. And there was also a young couple who was in love, and the woman and the couple would then try to steal the coat of the old man of me. But when she did, her face turned ugly, and she had to wear a mask. And as I first time saw this mask, I started laughing. I started laughing on stage during the training. And because I started laughing, everyone else on stage started laughing. And the director was just like, what's going on? Why is everybody laughing? Now, that was actually an issue because every time I would look at that mask, I would just start laughing. So, during the performance, I actually had to look elsewhere to not focus on the mask. Yes, I approve. Well, and measure. And the old man's story ended when he ended up meeting his dead wife and son. Oh yeah, that was a kids' theater? What? I was like thinking back, I'm like, what were we playing? That story is actually kind of brutal. I don't even know if the village was okay in the end. I don't remember what happened to the village. Now, one of my friend's family members actually told me that I played the old person very, very convincingly. But this is also when I kind of realized I love entertaining people. I love making people smile. I love exciting people. It's one of the greatest things in the entire world. Now, another hobby that I picked up What's a philanthrope? What's a philanthrope? What does that mean? I don't know what that means. A person that loves people. Actually, yeah. Yeah, I am. I love people. I love all of you. Oh, you want a meow, Arashi? Okay, here's my meow. There we go.
I'm Die. Thank you forever.
Oh no, I'm Die. Thank you forever. But yeah, another hobby that I picked up when I was younger was swimming. Where back in middle school, there was one day where the teachers decided to hire a diving teacher for the day, and we actually were allowed to dive with full diving equipment, which means there was a belt, there was an oxygen bottle, everything. And that was honestly super, super fun. And I would absolutely want to go deep sea diving. You know, see what all the odd creatures are that live deep, deep in the ocean. Surely there is nothing horrifying that lives in the ocean at all, right? Why would there live in something horrifying in the ocean? It's not like we know nothing about our oceans. Like, we know more about space than the ocean itself? No. But another thing that I did as a kid during high school was jump off a 10-meter jumping tower. Which, would I do that today again? No. That's scary as shit. But I still love swimming. I love diving. But jumping towers, not so much. Not anymore. Now, after school, when I was in apprenticeship, which technically also still counts as a school, and the work school was not a nice place. I did not get along with my classmates at all. I would actually get bullied quite severely, where they would actually even use violence against me. Hi, Yumina! Are you back? Welcome back. Take the garlic ramen. Take garlic. Garlic. But yeah, my classmates would bully me. But during swimming lessons, that was my time to shine. Because they were not good divers. Meanwhile, I had quite the good lungs, despite actually having a damaged nose. And I would just chill in the depths of the pool and just be like, nobody can hurt me. I do not want to count how often I got suspended for beating someone up that got violent to their victim. Oh no! So you were like a vigilante type of person? I mean, fair enough. I did that as a young kid too. However, I do think that's a story for another day. What I can say is, I was a real rowdy kid. Actually, there's one story I want to share right now. That day, we had a replacement teacher because our teacher was sick. And they asked a question, and I knew the answer. So I raised my hand. The teacher ignored my hand and took someone else. Now, I had a temper. A real temper as a kid. And I was an absolute brat. I got so mad. I literally flipped my table at the teacher and threw the chair and as I was brought out and had to go home, I even broke the windshield wiper of the innocent taxi driver. Now, I do feel very sorry afterwards as I grew up, but back then I was raging. I was absolutely being barbarian. My school said there's no bullying in this school as a kid got shoved into shrub. Yeah. Oh, for fuck's sake. No. No, don't do that. No, don't do that. Honestly, the answer of your teacher was pretty cool. I don't know if my teacher would have had the same answer. Probably not. I mean, it was a replacement teacher. So, they didn't actually know the class. But also, yes, I was absolutely a brat, and I eventually realized I was being an asshole and changed my ways, but by that time, I wasn't too popular. If there's no bullying, then I deemed it fair game to beat up bullies. Yeah, I guess so. If the school is not gonna do anything about it, then yeah, it's fair game. Now, in middle school, when I was also being bullied, I actually got bullied pretty much through my entire school life. I told my mom that I was being bullied, and I got an answer that changed my relationship with her for a pretty long time. She told me, it's probably your fault. Now, that is not an answer you give to a kid. No matter how difficult the child is, that is not an answer you'd give to a kid. Now, first up, I had to take things into my own hands to not get bullied and to scare away the bullies. Second of all, it destroyed any trust I had in my mom. Now, in my mom's defense, she later, years later, realized her mistake. She did. She apologized. I forgave her. Doesn't change what she did. But, yeah. Now, what she told me was she saw me as a chronic liar and just thought, yeah, she's probably not saying anything true and reacting to it would just get me in trouble, so she decided not to. Now, she was wrong on every account in this regard. Like, no matter if your child is a liar normally, no matter the circumstances, you can't do that. You can't tell your child it's probably your fault. It's gonna destroy any trust the child has with you. Any and all. Gone. Finito. But yeah, back to hobbies. Now, even though I'm no longer playing theater, some of that joy of playing theater still remained. That joy being role-playing. I actually met some super cool people through role-playing. Even to this day, I meet cool people through role-playing. Now, my first time role-playing was around 15 in a roleplay which, to this day, I consider the golden roleplay. Why? This roleplay actively ran for 2 years. I had 7 characters in this roleplay. Others had 5 characters, 8 characters, 14 characters. Like, we had like 50 characters in this universe. In this world. And now, my first character was very much based on myself, which, let's be honest, even to this day, most characters that you guys gonna make, that anybody's gonna make, there's always gonna be just a slight bit of yourself in that character. It's inevitable. Nobody's gonna play the complete opposite of who you are or who you want to be. As a matter of fact, it's likely that you want to... It's actually likely that you play as the person you want to be. I tried to play someone else. Didn't turn out well. Aww. I'm sending you hugs. Huggies. I play characters that tend to go against certain themes. That's fair enough. That can be very interesting. Yeah, I got that. I got that. Playing a character that's completely different from you didn't go well. So, yeah. One of my most famous characters that many of you know, especially those who watched our D&D sessions, and some role players, one of my favorite characters is Nylala, who, when you next time see her, she has gone through some changes. Nylala is no longer a bard. No. Instead, she is now a barbarian warlock. With gravity powers. And an axe that is twice her size. So, she went through some stuff. We had a very martial prowess, good guys only party, and my melee mage played off the side of... I will act logical even if it might be evil. Oh, that could be interesting. That could be interesting. I have played quite a fair share of D&D characters myself. And maybe I should play this character sometime here. Everyone say hi to Terra, who doesn't want to be on my arms, because he doesn't want to be. But yeah. Now, after all the D&D and role-playing and stuff, which I actually played for quite some years, and my stories of D&D could actually be an entire stream of its own. Funniest shit in the specific campaign was Dashi Royal Knight Captain wanted our party's best duelist, and you see a warrior, paladin, and barbarian step to the side to reel the mage in his cloak and leather armor. That is very funny. That is very funny. Now, there was one more hobby that I had for a short time, just a few months, but I played a trading card game called Force of Will. Hello, Kaiser Nagaraja. Welcome. We are doing good. How are you doing? Yes, I have played Force of Will for a while. I have played in a few tournaments as well. Now, I'm not the best. You play the history deck? I do remember playing, Vlad Tempest, the vampire girl. I remember playing her. Doing well. Ooh! What kind of pets and plants do you have? Doing well. Checking over my pets and plants right now. It's a good day. Nice. Glad to hear you have a good day. I have a good day as well. But yeah, I actually played D&D for quite some time now. When did I start playing D&D? It was actually right when COVID started. You have a list of them all? Okay. Looking forward to hearing your list. I actually grew up with a lot of pets as well. Let me sing about all the pets that I had. Now, we had Cindy, the dog, my sister's favorite dog. We had Bobby, which was my dad's favorite dog, and I do not remember much about him because we had to give him away when I was 4 years old because he became aggressive. But I did meet him years later, and he was actually quite a cute dog, though pretty old at the time. Then, after that, after Cindy, we had Blackie and Gypsy, which were 2 border collies, which Gypsy is, to this day, my favorite dog that ever lived. I loved this dog. She was beautifully stupid. She was stupid in the most beautiful way. Let's see. So for pets, I have red tail boa, Sarah gecko, for bumblebee poison dart frogs. Different colonies of isopods. So snake. What is an isopod? What's an isopod? I don't think I heard of that before. Roly poly? Let me Google this. Let me Google this real quick. What's a roly poly? Oh, they look kind of cute. They look kind of cute. They kind of remind me of Hollow Knight. Well, they are bugs, so it makes sense. They're small, crustaceans that roll up into balls when they're scared. They like to eat dead things and recycle nutrients. Huh? They're not bugs? They're not? did not know that. Bug is a term specific to a certain type of insect. Roly-polies are not insects at all. They're crustaceans. Oh, really? Oh, I was not aware of that. That's so cool. What the heck? They're like mini crabs. Oh, how cute! You would still see them in Hollow Knight. There are a lot of animals that aren't actually bugs, but people call them bugs. Oh. Yeah, that's actually cool. I did not know that. Arthropod. Oh, that's the right term. One that throws people off. Our example of foxes are canines. Yeah. I knew about that one. That foxes are canines and hyenas are closer to cats. Which is actually an interesting thing. About wolves. Now, Switzerland did not have wolves for a very long time. We also didn't have otters. We didn't have bear. We still don't have bears. But we're getting the bisons back. We're getting the wolves back. We're getting the lynx back. And all within the last 7 years. They have all come back in the last 7 years when they were gone for 5 to 10 decades. Both in the end have doggy body and cat eyes. That is honestly fair. That is honestly fair. Wait, mountain goats are not goat? Huh? Wait, why are they called mountain goats if they're not goats? What? But they're not? They're not goats? Oh. They're actually antelope. Oh. That is funny. Nature is funny. Now, here's a little fun fact about me. I love biology and evolution games. One of my childhood's favorite games was actually Spore. I played a lot of Spore growing up. Now, Spore is not scientifically accurate. Not at all. However, there is a project called Thrive, which I have been following for years as well, and that is gonna get done in the next 100 years, probably. That is Also kind of like Spore, but more scientifically accurate. But yeah, getting back to, how I got into D&D. Which is actually kind of a funny story. Because, well, not funny. Yes, the devouring species. Now, at the time, I had actually kidney stone. So, I spent a lot of time in the hospital. I was actually in the hospital during that time for 3 or 4 times because of the kidney stone. And as I was looking for things to get into, things to do, one of my friends said, "Hey, why don't you try out D&D? I think you would like it." And I was like, "D&D? I was always interested in it. It sounds interesting. But where could I play it?" And so he showed me a Discord server with Switzerland D&D players. There, I played my first campaign. My first ever D&D character was a Dragonborn merchant who is not a merchant at all, but instead was an assassin who ran away from home because he was only second-born, and he was like, "I don't want to be just second place. I'm just gonna leave from home if I'm not gonna be the leader. I want to be someone too." But then the campaign would actually bring him back home, because during his absence, his family instead decided, "Oh yeah, let's summon a devil." Yeah, they did that. We would actually find out about that only later. And would also go to the elves, who are like, "Why did you bring a devil to us?" And we all were like, "What? A devil? It's a devil? We didn't know." We got imprisoned, and the elves decided, "Okay, let's go march on the Dragonborns, because they are summoning devils over there, and we can't have that." And me, being a diplomat, I was like, "You know, guys, they're kind of my family, so I don't want you to kill them." And they were like, "You're a prisoner, you don't have any say." But then they were like, "But if I convince them to give up peacefully, to come with you without a fuss, then you might not get any casualties." And so they were like, you know, that would work. And so I got to have one last talk with my dad in that D&D campaign. And he was like, "You really became a leader." Because somehow the entire D&D group decided, yes, my character was the face of the resistance, the leader of the resistance. How did that happen? I don't know. Everyone decided that it would be my Dragonborn. Now, this was not the end of the campaign, even though I lost that character. So, I had to make another character. This time, I made an elven girl. She didn't have any memory of the past. She just knew the forest. Until she was captured by the villains and forced to work in a mine. And then rescued by the party, she joined the party. There she would actually see the world for the first time. And let me tell you, she was a little dum-dum. And very inexperienced with the world. But the more that she saw, the more she kind of matured. Until, in the end, we walked right into a trap. Again, because of the elves. Good thing this elves. That's not evil. Because the elves sold us out to the evil army, and the evil army made an ambush right in the hometown of my character. Or the home village, which, as turns out, they were all dead. They all died. You had a mini D&D campaign ready, but it never happened. Aww. It's unfortunate. I hope you get to play it one day. But so yeah, this first character, she died in the place where she came from. And then there was my final character, who was a gnome ranger, who somehow got super tanky, and he was actually the character who survived until the end of the campaign. So in that one campaign, I had 3 characters. I will go on to play 2 more campaigns, have 5 to 6 more characters. Then I would also join a D&D-like roleplay a few months ago, where I made another one of my favorite characters called Kashara, who adopted herself a mom. Funny how that happened. Definitely should roleplay there again sometime soon. Yeah, I would imagine you heard of that one. But yeah, in the end, what I decided today is, while I keep my training going, my training is not gonna suffer. I'm still gonna do my daily exercises, training, everything to become a top idol. But I wanna also take time for fun times. Even if it's just an hour or 2 per day. Just making sure I also have some hobbies. Because, yes, you guys matter to me. Work matters to me. But I also need to live. Because if I don't have hobbies and passions, what stories would I tell you if I don't have anything to say? So in the end, even me doing something fun and something passionate, in the end, I just want to tell you guys fun stuff. and have lots and lots of fun. Your character has a whole novel of story around her. Aww. That's cool. But yeah. This is gonna do it for today's stream. I'm gonna actually see you guys in a few hours. In 4 hours to be exact. When we are back for some more D&D with our favorite little halfling, Nalala. But yeah, let's see who we rate. Dogs and dragons. Let's meet some new people. Oh, a person with a donut in the 12-hour stream? Now that sounds interesting. Let's go say hi. Anyway, everyone, thank you for joining today. I'll see you tomorrow. And if not, I see you in a few hours. And if not, I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye. Be-da-doo.